Welcome to the new YouTube channel. If you haven't already done it, hit the subscribe button to follow us all season long for updates and content. So happy that you're here. It's going to be a great year. Welcome back to the Richard Sherman podcast, and some breaking news with Pete Carroll being relieved of his head coaching duties in Seattle. It's been a long time. He's been there 14 years, winningest coach in Seahawks history. Obviously, it's a decision that seems like it was made by ownership to move in a different direction. It looks like he'll still be a part of the organization in an advisory role. But I'm very surprised by this decision. Again, another winning season. They didn't make the playoffs, so I think that was the expectations. There was disappointment there. But they've been consistent. They've been consistently a winning team. They've been consistently in these ball games. I think they took some really tough losses at the end of last season. But I did not see this coming. I did not see them letting Pete go. He's one of the only coaches in the history of football in general to win a national championship in college and win a Super Bowl. I think he's the greatest Seahawks coach of all time, and that's not to be debated at this point. He won them their only Super Bowl. I was on this team that won a Super Bowl with Seattle. I guess I'm appreciative of the way they allowed him to go out graciously. They didn't fire him and make it a whole ordeal. It seems like it was mutual and a conversation. Obviously, his age may have factored into that, but it was a situation where I expected them to let Pete coach as long as he wanted to and be around as long as he wanted to. He instilled an incredible culture in Seattle. He's done a ton for the city of Seattle, for the city of LA. He's done a ton for football in general. We talking about the always compete mentality. It's going to be interesting to see what Seattle does from here. Obviously, they see the number of coaches coming onto the market, and it was something that they couldn't pass up, similar to what the Tennessee Titans owner did, and they said there was things that they couldn't pass up. I don't know how you follow this up. I think people are expecting grass being greener on the other side and something new, and new is always better, but new isn't always better. And I think Pete won a lot of games, took them to a lot of playoffs. We did a lot of special things in my time there. But if you're talking about hiring a guy like Dan Quinn, I could see that. I can see that being the reason you make a move like this. Give Dan an opportunity to come back to Seattle, instill a similar culture, similar defensive game plan. Obviously, he coaches from the front to the back. Bring a young, innovative offensive coordinator in, and I think he's somebody that could do well in this environment. But outside of that, I think if they, this decision can send this franchise one of two ways. I mean, I guess it's always a fork in the road kind of deal when you change head coaches after, this guy being as special as he was to this city. 137 wins over his time here. I don't know. This is a head scratcher for this organization, but I guess you can appreciate him doing it now. I would have guessed there's going to be a lot of changes on this staff. I don't expect them to retain very many people. So I'm interested to see what happens going forward, what the plan is, because I don't know. I don't know where they go from here. Obviously, they wanted to get in this this coach market. Are there more trades in place? Are there more changes afoot? I don't know. I don't think they go internal with the candidate. But I think this is a moment for the Seahawks to really to make a tribute to everything he's done for this city, everything he's done for this organization. I'm sure John Snyder will stay on board, but maybe not. Maybe this is a situation where they cut ties and start anew. But I highly doubt that. I don't think that's the way you go in this situation. I don't think that would lead to a great future for Seattle to just fire everybody and start with a new front office, new head coach, new staff, new everything, and think you're going to have a successful season next year. But I mean, this eventually had to happen. I just didn't expect it right now after the season they had. I thought Maybe they'd let Pete go out on his own and make that decision, similar to what I'm thinking the Patriots will do with Bill Belichick. But good for Pete. Maybe he needed this break. There's a lot more to life. I'm sure he'll still be around the organization and very involved in every decision making. Maybe he'll go into front office and he and John will help create another team and help guide the next head coach to success. But you talk about the NFC championship games, you talk about all the all pros that have come through this organization, from myself, Bobby Wagner, who's still with the organization on off another Pro Bowl season, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas III, great players like Michael Bennett, Cliff Averill, Doug Baldwin, Jermaine Kearse, uh, Russell Okung played well, Marshawn, obviously, Russell Wilson, Brandon Browner got a Pro Bowl during his time here. Byron Maxwell was a great player, Jeremy Lane. And then you got KJ Wright, who was a captain on this team, a Pro Bowl player, an All Pro caliber player. Brandon Mebane, a guy, Red Bryant, Chris Clemens, a number of guys that have come through. And this is just during my time. Then you got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Ricardo Lockett. I can go on and on and on about the special players that have played for this organization that he's brought in, and he's changed the lives of both here and in Southern California. We can talk about his philanthropy, but this is a shocking decision from Seattle. And I just don't know what they're going to do going forward. And that's my concern is it's big shoes to fill and a hard spot to fill when a guy has had this much success with an organization and he's this beloved. I know a few years ago there were conversations where guys might have wanted a new head coach, and there were fans clamoring either it's going to be Russ or it's going to be Pete. And clearly they've made the decision that it has to be Pete this time. And I'm not sure I agree with it. I am definitely not sure. I'm not sure the direction they're going to go, but I'm sure he's proud of his legacy, proud of everything he's done, proud of what he's done for the city of Seattle. But my goodness, offensive philosophy is going to change. Defensive philosophy is going to change. Personnel is likely to change. They have some foundational pieces. I think Leonard Williams will be there. I think Charles Cross and Abe Lucas tackles will be there. Kenneth Walker III, JSN, DK, obviously. Gino, I think, will be there. Bobby, I think, comes back. He's coming off a Pro Bowl year. It'd be weird for them to get rid of him and have all this transition. But the safeties were both on contract years, and Wandre Diggs and Julian Love. You got to figure out what they're going to do with Jamal Adams. There's so many decisions to make. Jaron Reed is another guy that they're going to have to make a decision on. Played really well this year. Boye Mafe. There's a ton of pieces that they got. Really talented team, but there's going to be decisions for a new staff to make, and I hope John Snyder and those guys are ready to make it.